Yo, Pt.2 guy here. What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to part 2 of spending 2 weeks with the Sony SSC system. So just to recap the first episode, we took a little tour, unboxed them, took a look at them, assessed them, and we put them in their spots. And I kind of gave you guys the format of what we're looking to do. And today, part 2, this is going to be the movie demo. And in this demo, we're using the Sony SSC SE Dolby Atmos speakers, the Sony SSC S3 floor standing speakers, the SSC S8 center channel speaker, the Sony SSC S5 bookshelves as my surround sounds, and then the subwoofer is the SAC S9. So we're gonna do several different Dolby Atmos tests, different movies, see how they sound, and I'm gonna use the subwoofer that came with the system just to give an overall assessment of how everything sounds. Now I've done a little bit of listening on my own, but I haven't watched any movies, so we're gonna listen to it together, and then I'll give a little bit of feedback on what I heard at the end of this video. Now, because of copyright reasons, I can't show much of the movie itself on the screen, but the audio will be in live recording. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and I'll see you guys at the end.
Nothing captures our imagination like a big cat. Magnificent, powerful, deadly. But as we get closer to these elusive animals, we're discovering another side to their lives. One more caring, collaborative, and resilient than we ever imagined. There is far more to big cats than meets the eye.
Alright guys, so that was the demo, 2 different demos. The first one you guys saw was a movie called Animal, and then the second one was called Outside the Wire, I believe. And I've never seen those movies, so it was completely unbiased. I wanted to just pick something that had a lot of action in it, and I didn't know what to expect, so that I can go in pretty blind. And so going into this, I didn't know what my expectations were. Again, these speakers are on the least expensive side. There's probably the least expensive speaker package that you guys can purchase right now. And so I didn't have high expectations, but I wasn't sure what my expectations were. So I just sat down and took a listen. And so referring back to the first movie we saw, the little clip of Animal, it had a female voice in it. And I wanted to listen to the female voice because I wanted to hear what that center channel was going to do. A lot of times when you have a small center channel like this, you have an issue with maybe like a muffled sound or maybe lack of volume. So I wanted to see how the center channel performs with voices, in particular the female voice, and actually did pretty good. One big complaint that I have with it is that because it is so small and because it is inexpensively built, you do get that kind of sound out of it at times. Although it did get pretty loud and it kept up with the rest of the system, so I'll give it a B rating out of an A+, I guess you can say. It did sound pretty good. I like the volume level that I could reach. It's all being powered with my Monoprice Monolift 7x200 amplifier, so it's getting plenty of power to it. And these are 6-ohm speakers, some of them are, so they like the juice, and it sounds pretty good. It's not bad, especially for the size that it is. Now, moving into the second movie, with the more action, with the gunshots, with the calm chatter, it was a little bit more involved. And this is where the real surround came from. This allowed me to hear all 7 speakers working, such your front left, center, front right, the Dolby Atmos modules on top of the floor standers, and then the bookshelves as my side surrounds. This allowed all of them to be engaged, and it actually did pretty good on enveloping you in overall sound. Now, my big complaint about this one is that it lacked a little bit of life. There wasn't too much sparkle to it. I like to use the word sparkle to kind of describe the higher end of the frequencies. It didn't have it for me. And so I'm interested to see how that does for music in the next episode, but for movies, it lacked a little bit of energy. It got loud, but never really sounded vibrant. I never really got fully engaged in the movie. Even though I haven't seen it, I didn't feel like I wanted to continue the watching like most home theaters do, good home theaters do. For a small room, it sounds really good. My apartment is a really small living room, and so this is a system that you'd probably put in here, and so it fills up the space just fine. Now, I want to talk really quickly about that subwoofer. It's a 10-inch sub, and it's not very powerful, but it does fill the space pretty well. It actually moves pretty quickly. It keeps up with a lot of those grenades that were going on, the rapid fire bullets that were flying through the air. It kept up pretty good, but it was probably the weakest point in the system. To be honest with you, the floor standing speakers probably have a little bit more bass than the sub does at some frequencies, which is crazy to think about considering this is a subwoofer we're talking about. But it lacks a little bit of power. It's a little underpowered in my personal opinion. On the back of the label, it says it only takes 70 watts of power out of the wall. So that tells you what's the rating of that sub. And so you really hear the lack of power from that subwoofer, and that's probably the missing detail in the whole system. But overall, it's not bad. I'll leave my full thoughts for the full review in part 4, but overall, not a bad system. All right, guys, that's going to do it for part 2 of spending 2 weeks with the Sony system. I'm fairly impressed with what you get for the money, but I'm really interested to see, or maybe to hear, how it does with the music portion in part 3. So make sure you stay tuned. Every Wednesday, I will do a video of this until we get through all 4 parts. So if you haven't saw the first part, I unbox it and kind of walk you through what's going on. And of course, today we went through the movie test. Next Wednesday will be the music test, which I'm super curious to hear. So guys, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and we'll see you in the next video. K-Sky out. Peace.